on making sure it is risk-driven and delivered more quickly. We will also ensure that those who profited and continue to profit from the sale of unsafe buildings and construction products must take full responsibility for their actions and pay to put things right. Those who knowingly put lives at risk should be held to account for their crimes, and those who are seeking to profit from the crisis by making it worse should be stopped from doing so. Today, I'm putting them on notice. To those who missold dangerous products like cladding or insulation, to those who cut corners to save cash as they developed or refurbished people's homes, and to those who sought to profiteer from the consequences of the Grenfell tragedy, we are coming for you. I have established a dedicated team in my department to expose and pursue those responsible. We'll begin by reviewing government schemes and programmes to make sure that in accordance with due process, there are commercial consequences for any company which is responsible for this crisis and refusing to help to fix it. In line with this, just before Christmas, I instructed Homes England to suspend Ryden Homes, which is closely connected to the company that refurbished the Grenfell Tower, from its participation in the Help to Buy scheme with immediate effect. And I also want to welcome the decision by the Mercedes Formula One team and Toto Wolff to discontinue sponsorship from Kingspan, the cladding firm, with immediate effect. The voices of the families of the bereaved and the survivors of the Grenfell Tower fire were heard, but this is only the start of the action that must be taken. And, Mr. Speaker, we must also restore common sense to the assessment of building safety overall. The government's clear. We've got to find ways for there to be fewer unnecessary surveys. Medium-rise buildings are safe unless there's clear evidence to the contrary. There must be far greater use of sensible mitigations like sprinklers and fire alarms in place of unnecessary and costly remediation work. So to achieve that, I'm withdrawing the government's consolidated advice note today. It's been wrongly interpreted, and it's driven a cautious approach to building safety in buildings that are safe that goes beyond what we consider necessary. And we are supporting new proportionate guidance for assessors, developed by the British Standards Institution, which will be published this week. Second, we will press ahead with the Building Safety Fund, adapting it so that it is consistent with our proportionate approach. And we will set a higher expectation now that developers must fix their own buildings, and will give leaseholders more information at every stage of the process. And thirdly, before Easter, we'll be implementing our scheme to indemnify building assessors conducting external wall assessments, giving them the confidence to exercise their balanced professional judgment. And we will audit those assessments to make sure that expensive remediation is only being advised where it is necessary to remove a threat to life. I'll be working closely with lenders over the coming months to improve market confidence, and I've asked my colleague Lord Greenhalgh to work with insurers on new industry-led approaches that bring down the premiums facing leaseholders. Further, we'll take the power to review the governance of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors to make sure that they are equipped properly to support a solution to this challenge. Those in the industry who refuse to work with us in good faith to take a more proportionate approach should be clear about our determination to fix the problem for all those caught up in this crisis. Finally, we must relieve the burden which has been unfairly placed on leaseholders. And I want to pay tribute to all those across the House who've campaigned so passionately on this subject. They know the injustice of asking leaseholders, very often young people who have saved hard and made sacrifices to get their first steps on the housing ladder, to pay money they don't have to fix a problem they didn't cause, all while the firms that made a profit on those developments sit on their hands. So we'll take action to end this scandal and protect leaseholders. We will scrap the proposal for loans and long-term debt for medium-rise leaseholders. I can confirm today to the House that no leaseholder living in a building above 11 metres will ever face any costs for fixing dangerous cladding. And, working with members of both Houses, we will pursue statutory protection for leaseholders, and nothing will be off the table. As part of this, we'll introduce immediate amendments to the Building Safety Bill to extend the right of leaseholders to challenge those who cause defects in premises up to 30 years retrospectively. And we will also take further action immediately. We'll provide an additional £27 million to fund more fire alarms so we can end the dreadful misuse of waking watches. We will change grant funding guidance so that shared owners affected by this crisis can more easily sublet their properties, and encourage lenders and landlords to approve subletting arrangements. And in the period before long-term arrangements are put in place, I will work with colleagues across government to make sure leaseholders are protected from forfeiture and eviction because of historic costs. Innocent leaseholders must not shoulder the burden. We've already committed £5.1 billion of taxpayers' funding from this government, But we should not now look to the taxpayer for more funding. We should not ask hard-working taxpayers to pay more taxes to get developers and cladding companies making vast profits off the hook. We'll make industry pay to fix all of the remaining problems and to help to cover the range of costs facing leaseholders. Those who manufactured combustible cladding and insulation, many of whom have made vast profits even at the height of the pandemic, they must pay now instead of leaseholders. We've made a start through the residential property developer tax and the building safety levy, both announced last February, but will now go further. I will today be writing to developers to convene a meeting over the next few weeks, and I'll report back to the House before Easter. We will give them the chance to do the right thing. I hope that they will take it, but I can confirm to the House today that if they do not, then if necessary, we will impose a solution upon them in law. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we must never be in this position again. So we're putting the recommendations of the Hackett Review on building safety in law, and we will shortly commence the Fire Safety Act. We're also today publishing new collaborative procurement guidance on removing the incentives for industry to cut corners and to help stop the prioritisation of cost over value. And we will legislate to deliver broader reforms to the leasehold system as well. We will also bring forward measures to fulfil commitments made in the Social Housing White Paper, so that when parliamentary time allows, we will have legislation on social housing regulation, so social housing tenants cannot be ignored as those in the Grenfell community were for many years. 4.5 years on from the tragedy of Grenfell, it is long past time that we fix this crisis. And through the measures that I've set out today, we will seek redress for past wrongs and secure funds from developers, from construction product manufacturers, and we will protect leaseholders today and fix the system for the future. And I commend the statement to the House.